OK, so Arne Slot is heading to Anfield. Let's see what the papers make of it. So, John, your paper, the back page of the Mirror, best job in the world. What did you make of Jurgen Klopp's endorsement of Arne Slot? He did his best to suggest he didn't know too much about it, didn't he?
Yeah, he was really enthusiastic though overall, wasn't he? He was trying to initially play it down, and then I think when it became obvious that it was indeed happening in the next sort of kind of day or so, they've since that press conference, of course, it's been sort of confirmed by a lot of incredibly well informed writers that everything is agreed. Seems like about 8 million rising to 10, doesn't it? With a couple of add-ons, but I do think you touched on it, Teddy, a really good column and interesting in the Telegraph. Jamie Carragher, Liverpool legend, indeed of this parish, on Sky, always writes a really eloquent and excellent column, I think, in the paper on a Saturday, and really takes apart that decision and that gamble, almost as he describes it, on Slot. There's the headline there: Anfield gambling on Slot being the next big thing. What fascinates me about this is that if we remember back to when Jurgen Klopp was appointed, and I think this is the point that almost people miss, is that Klopp was hugely established on the European scene as a real big hitter.
Yeah.
He'd taken on at Dortmund, Munich, gone toe-to-toe with them, denied them titles, really produced a fantastic brand of football. He was on the radar of many English clubs, and Liverpool went for him. But he was really well known, well sought after. And the difference here with Arne Slot is obvious. He is still, a manager developing. Yes, he's had a couple of seasons at Feyenoord, and he's without a shadow of a doubt playing fantastic football, a sort of brand of football that fits with the Liverpool model and certainly the Klopp vision. But I really liked something that Paul Joyce wrote in the Times the other day. He spoke to Sander Westerveld, who knows Slot well, and gave a bit of context about just the job that Slot has done, taking them really from sort of kind of the depths of despair, if you like, really built up a team and made great progression. But having said all that, is he really established on Europe's top stage, ready to take on one of the Premier League's elite clubs? That's the gamble. And I do think, I must agree with Jamie Carragher, I do think it's a gamble. It's a bold decision, bold appointment. Let's see if it works. But it really does feel like in the gamble territory, I must say.
Yeah, Mark, the thrust of the piece is a comparison, isn't it, between the arrival of Jurgen Klopp at the back end of 2015 and the prospective arrival of Arne Slot this year. Carragher says Klopp was the real deal when he arrived, backing up what John was saying there, and his blend of tactical genius and bond with fans will be hard to replicate. Does that comparison as well boil down to a comparison between the Bundesliga and the Eredivisie, Mark? We've seen, obviously, Erik ten Hag toil a bit, players toil a bit from Dutch's league. Is that where it comes down to? Because if you can beat Bayern in the Bundesliga, it's a great yardstick, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, the Dutch league, as we know, in the last maybe 10, 12 years, in terms of players and in terms of coaches, nobody's really come over to the Premier League and hit it off straight away. It's been a struggle because there's a massive gulf now between the leagues. And I think I've seen a lot of comparisons this week between how Feyenoord play and how Liverpool play and how their stats are better than Liverpool's. Well, they will be because it's the Dutch league. And, if Liverpool are playing Nottingham Forest or Burnley, one of the teams at the bottom end of the Premier League, they're in for a real tough game. Is it the same for Feyenoord or PSV when they're playing the teams that are lower in the Dutch league? So you have to put that into context. And it is a gamble in the sense that, Liverpool are a club that are European royalty. Let's be honest, they've won 6 Champions Leagues. They expect to win it every time they're in it. Arne Slot's managed 6 games in the Champions League. He's had 1 season. He's lost 4 times. So his Champions League pedigree does not match what Liverpool expect. But the market that we're in this season, or this summer with managers, it's a tough one. There's no obvious candidates out there. There are some big hitters available this summer: Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Thomas Tuchel. But it feels like those days have passed. That they're, whether it's their temperament, their demands, they're too challenging for the sporting directors, whatever it is, that clubs seem to have moved away from that to a younger model whereby Arne Slot is the example, I guess, that somebody's younger, wants to make his name in the game, prepared to work within a system that clubs want to adopt. But for a club like Liverpool, you need a coach that's proven, but also you need a character. And I think, replacing Jurgen Klopp is an impossibility, really, because he's like a rock star of a manager, isn't he? He's absolutely everything you'd want. He's got personality, tactical nous, the players love him, the fans love him, and he wins things. To find somebody who can do all of that in one place, it's really hard. So Liverpool have taken a gamble. Xabi Alonso's not available. Ruben Amorim, if they were ever in for him, he was like, I think, 20 million euros escape clause, so massive money. So Arne Slot is the one they've taken a gamble on, but I think a lot of people have yet to be convinced. But Liverpool know better than the rest of us because they've studied the data and they think this guy's the real deal. But it's a massive, massive challenge.
Well, Liverpool, John, before even our time, were once the past masters of succession plans, weren't they? Look at Shankly to Paisley, arguably the greatest succession, I think, in terms of what Paisley achieved in history. Klopp calls it the best job in the world on the back page of The Sun as well, and the Mirror. Do you feel, though, that it's a job for a potential candidate, a bit like they sign players with the financial situation, that perhaps they're not able to shop at the top of the tree for managers as well as players?
Yeah, maybe that's an element of it. I think the biggest deciding factor over him, potentially, for an example, as an Amarin perhaps, is his style of football. It is high octane. It is energetic. They are trying to replicate, I think, the kind of really fast front foot football that Anfield has become used to and has welcomed and has loved, frankly. And if they can sort of replicate that, get on the same sort of kind of page as Jurgen Klopp has produced, then that's the obvious answer. That's why they've gone for this guy. Really, I do think he immediately inherits a squad in a strange place. Because, I mean, Virgil van Dijk has been a fabulous signing and what a player. He's been one of the true Premier League greats. But he's kind of almost coming towards the end a little bit. What does the future hold for him? The same for Mo Salah. I mean, it's incredible. Mo Salah has been so fit, so effective, so prolific, so resilient and reliable. But this season, in recent times, he has felt, the pressure and strain perhaps of injuries as well. So does the squad need a little bit of a turnover, if you like? He's got issues to solve, I think. So he's not inheriting a team that's immediately going to go in and expect to be challenging for the title again next season. I do think it's a squad that needs work. It's in a very good place at the moment, please don't get me wrong. But I just feel as if he's got a few question marks immediately to answer. Does he go for the future with Van Dijk? Does he go with Salah? Or maybe there'll be a big offer from Saudi again with Salah. Is it time to start afresh? There are dilemmas immediately, with the managers. Some managers are blessed to go into a squad. They pick up the reins and immediately go again. I do think this guy will come in and basically just have a few dilemmas, a few sort of kind of questions to answer. So, if it wasn't a big enough job already, I do think there's sort of dilemmas facing him straight away.